fighting UFC 307, October 5th, right around the corner. Please welcome bantamweight number 11, Mario Bautista. Mario, almost fight week, man. How we feeling?
Feeling pretty good. Feeling excited for fight week. So getting ready for it.
And that's pretty close to you guys, Salt Lake City. I don't know my Western geography that well, but are you going to be bringing in some fans with this one, you think?
Yeah. It's pretty close to my hometown. So I think it's like a 4 or 5 hour drive. So a lot of friends and family are able to make it to this one.
You tell someone from the UK a 4 or 5 hour drive is close to home, they're going to not understand what you're saying. But in America, 4 or 5 hours isn't that bad, man.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
And with Aljo and Evloev getting off, you guys are now on the main card. A lot of people were complaining, hey,
Mm.
this is a fight that should be on the main card. So now you're there. How does that feel?
That's news to me. I didn't even know. But that's awesome. Yeah, I was thinking we are going to be on the main card to begin with, but then once it came out, like maybe a couple weeks ago, we were on the prelims. I was like, it's Jose Aldo. You'd think they have him on the main card, but since we're there, pretty exciting.
And then I saw you tweeted fairly recently that you've been like, frustrated, confused as to why Ricky Simone, for example, got a fight before you. So we haven't seen you in there since what, January? Like, why has it been so
Yeah.
long? What's been the holdup?
Uh, I think it's just matchmaking. It was nothing on my part. I wasn't injured, nothing like that. I was waiting for a fight, called out, Rob Font, and then at that point, I was like willing to take, anyone outside the top 15. I thought that's what it was going to be, and then I got the Jose Aldo call.
And this is a good fight. We'll get into that in a minute. But beforehand, MMA Lab is a gym I see more and more on all of my social medias. I feel like you guys have more star power coming in there every week. So, like, who have you specifically been training with a lot for this camp?
For this camp, I've been working with Jack Eaglin. So he's from the UK and he recently made the move down here full time. And he's a great striker. So I'm glad to have him here. Moses Diaz, and Abdul Kamara. They've been helping me out with this camp, and then obviously everyone else, the whole team. We have a huge selection of 135ers, so been getting some good work.
And then I know, like, my gym, for example, we don't have any UFC guys, right? But we got some competitors, and I'll train with a heavyweight sometimes safely, vice versa. Everybody can train with each other. So, like, do you ever get work in with, for let's just say, Cannonier, for example, or like at your guys' level? Is it important to just stick with bantamweights and people close to your size?
No, definitely in the off season, I'll get rounds with pretty much everyone in the gym. From 25 to Jared Cannonier. That's probably my limit right there. But during camp, I'll kind of stick with the guys 35ers, 45ers, strikers that don't want to get taken down. That kind of that kind of thing.
And then just because we're talking about MMA Lab, I have to ask, were you expecting Sean O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili to go down that way?
No, I thought Sean was, I thought Sean was going to knock him out. I thought it was going to be like an Aljamain Sterling kind of fight, very similar. But Merab had a good game plan, and used his wrestling and his cardio pretty well.
And I actually have the poster behind my big head, UFC 292. I believe both you and Sean were on that card. Have you? Was that in Boston? Were you in Boston?
I think it was Boston, yeah.
Yeah. Have you talked to Sean since the loss at all? Like, I know he's not an MMA Lab like he used to be, but I know you guys at least speak highly of each other. I don't know if you guys are tight.
Yeah, I haven't seen Sean since his last fight. Yeah, he's been training at his gym, and he doesn't come around too often. I think the last time I seen him was literally a couple weeks after our Boston fight. He came and brought the belt over to the gym. So yeah, that was the last time I've talked to him.
And then do you know if he ever like plans on coming back over to you guys? Just because a lot of fans are wondering, like, when a champion loses, fans grasp at straws for a reason for a fighter to change or, go back to their roots. So, if he's ever going to come back and visit, or from what you've heard, is he pretty set at the new spot?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I think he might be set at his new spot. He was having good success over there anyway. One fight shouldn't change his whole you know perspective or where he's at. I would like to have him back. That'd be awesome. He's a great addition to the team. It'd only make us stronger. So, but whatever he chooses to do. Yeah.
Well, it's ironic because you're going up against Aldo, who's considered a featherweight GOAT, and then you talk about McGregor, another potential featherweight GOAT. How long has McGregor been hearing, dude, you got to leave SPG Ireland. You got to get rid of that crew around you. So it's just like when the attention gets there, Sean's dealing with the same thing right now, right? So it's just like, relax, everybody. Let's see how this plays out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, he has a great team around him, so I'm sure they're gonna bounce back.
And let's talk about Jose Aldo. Before I get into the fight, I am curious to know, like, growing up for me, it's Jose Aldo. He's not just a fighter. He's kind of like that MMA godlike figure, right? Like, do you have this similar sort of perspective on him, or did you in the past?
Um, no, no, I didn't have this perspective on Jose. I love watching him fight and everything. It's just back when I started, I had my idols, and back then it was never anyone in my weight class. I don't even think I even seen 35ers or 45ers fight in the very beginning. Uh, but the more you go out through this career and like the higher you get up in the rankings, you kind of stop looking at people like that, and you understand everyone's just kind of human, and everyone, you know, is normal. They're just great fighters. So no, I never really looked at Jose Aldo like that.
And since there's no, being starstruck aspect to this, I did see you said you think you can crack him mentally. I'd love to hear you elaborate on that. Like, what do you see? What have you seen from Aldo that's like, yeah, I can make him crack.
Just seeing it happen in fights, Max Holloway, Merab, Jan, Peter Yan, those kind of things, and he's a very emotional fighter. He gets himself pumped up in the back, and then afterwards, he gets very emotional. So that's something I'm looking to, attack and bring out of him a little bit, just to, test him.
And then, maybe 15 years ago, he's been going for a long time. If somebody said, hey, man, you're going to fight Aldo one day, and you're not only going to fight him, you're going to be the betting favorite going into the fight, which you are right now. You're minus 160. Would that have surprised you at all? Or is that something you've kind of always known you're destined towards that trajectory?
If you would have told me I'm going to fight Jose Aldo, I'd be very surprised, 15 years ago. But I'm not surprised I'm fighting someone like him at this level. I always knew I'd come to this moment. Jose Aldo, whoever it would have been. Dominic Cruz, any of those guys. But yeah, I've always thought about this moment and just very mentally prepared for this.
And then this is, I guess, a cliche question asking about your styles, but it's one that interests me specifically because Aldo's someone who throughout his career has been a phenomenal striker and known to be very hard to take down. You are someone who has phenomenal striking, but is a very well-rounded fighter on top of that. So how do you think these styles clash in there next weekend?
I'm going to definitely have to make him uncomfortable, get him out of his element, make it an MMA fight. All, just pushing the pace as well. So, I'm going to have to use like my youth to my advantage, where he's not like in his prime anymore. So that's definitely, I'm going to have to push the pace and really put it on him and a lot of volume.
And something with Jose Aldo, we all heard about is those vicious leg kicks, right? Have you been doing anything to prepare for that specifically, or just another fight, just another strategy?
Oh no, we're definitely taking those leg kicks serious, and a couple other things too. We don't want to go out there and then him all of a sudden, have a fight like Uriah Faber, where he just kicked that dude's leg so many times. So being prepared for that. Yeah.
And I don't know if you're a straight up prediction guy, but at the least, do you have any idea of like, or do you like have a vision of how this fight plays out?
I'm thinking like a TKO at the end of the second or third, or, I definitely win a decision. So those are my predictions.
Knockout TKO or decision. Sounds like a good betting prop to me. But Mario, this next set of questions, some fighters have a hard time answering because they think they don't want to look past their opponent. I'm not asking you to do that, but I do like to ask about the future, specifically with this one where you have two surging fighters, number 11, number 10 going at it. There's a lot of stake in this one. So like with a win here, is there anybody specifically you'd want to see in those rankings ahead of you? I know you mentioned Rob Font in the past, but anybody else?
Yeah. Oh no, I'm done with Rob Font after this one. If things go well and I keep moving up, I wouldn't want to look past Cory Sandhagen. especially since it was my debut fight and I've worked all this way just to get back here and he's still in front of me. So that fight wouldn't feel right to pass him or, skip ahead of him if I ever had that opportunity. So, if everything goes well, I'd like to fight Cory again.
And then you just got a new 5-fight deal I saw, I think, in your interview with James Lynch. So what goals do you have with this new deal? Is the title the end goal of this one?
Oh yeah, that's always the end goal is the title. But there's, a few things I got to get through before I even get there. So just keep winning, winning these fights, and I'll get to where I'm going.
When do you think, or maybe not think, I don't know, I set goals for myself. Do you have a date or a relative time frame in line of when you think or when you'd like to be fighting for that belt?
I would say, if everything goes good, maybe the beginning of 2026. We'll see how 2025 goes. Hopefully there's not too many, not too much space between fights there. But I think we'll set ourselves up good 2025, and we'll see what 2026 has in store for us.
And I hope before then we get more answers on the bantamweight title. I mean, Merab's the champ right now, but sounds like we have Merab and Umar Nurmagomedov coming up. How do you see that fight playing out?
I think that's a tough one for Merab, because Umar's very well rounded, good at striking, good on the ground, good submissions. I think he's just as good as Merab in the wrestling department, but I think Umar has better submissions and better transitions. So, but that's an interesting fight. I'd like to see that one.
And if for whatever reason, if one of those guys wins and keeps defending by the time you get there, one, is there one of those two guys you'd rather face? And two, do you think you beat both of them? Like, is there a harder opponent between the two?
I think Umar would be the harder opponent for sure. Yeah, I think, like I said, he's more well rounded, better striking, and just like a slightly better grappler.
And Mario, before I get you out of here, I want to do one more thing, like a little fun segment at the end of this one. But before that, I forgot to ask you a very random question at the beginning of this interview. My only, I'll just say it, fuck up on the microphone at a UFC event was asking you questions at UFC 292 Media Day. Is there any chance you remember some dumb reporter sticking out messing up to you before?
Damn, no, I don't remember that.
Good. It wasn't that bad a mess up. But so it was like my second media day ever. And you come up to answer questions. And I was like, hey, Mario, over here. What's up? I look down at my notebook and I see the question I'm going to read, and it makes no sense at all for you. I was like, this is not Mario. So I look up and I'm reading Natalia Silva's questions. So what I'm saying, long story short, there was it's still on YouTube, an awkward 13 seconds of complete silence of me reading my question, realizing it's the wrong question, going to the next page, finding your name, and then asking your question. So thank you for not roasting me and just letting that 13 seconds of silence be.
Not a problem. Yeah, I don't think I remember it. Was I up on stage? Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was just at media day. I was one of the journalists.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's always stuck out to me, and I wanted to ask you about it. So good. I'm glad only I remember that. I'll send
No
you the
worries,
awkward
dude.
clip on YouTube. But last thing I want to do here, Mario, is obviously this one's going down at bantamweight. Aldo can be considered the featherweight goat. So I'd love to ask you your list of bantamweight goats. And the way we'll do this, so you don't have to just pick a bunch of names out of your head, I'm going to kind of go down the line of bantamweight champions and ask you one at a time between this guy and this guy, who wins in their prime. And then the winner will move on to the next matchup. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So first up, we're going to start with a recent one. And this might be an obvious answer, but again, I do want to reiterate in the prime. So that's completely your discretion. Sean O'Malley or Merab Dvalishvili, who is the bantamweight GOAT between the two?
Well, it have to be Merab.
So then we got a fun one. We have Merab versus Aljamain Sterling.
I'll have to go with Aljo on that one.
So Aljo's moving down the list now, and this is a rematch, but again, prime's considered. Aljo or Petr Yan?
Petr Yan.
Petr Yan taking out Aljo. So what about Petr Yan or Henry Cejudo?
Petr Yan.
Petr Yan moving down the list some more. And now we get into the legend category. TJ Dillashaw or Petr Yan?
TJ.
Prime TJ taking it, moving against Cody Garbrandt. We've seen that fight before.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with TJ again.
TJ moving on. What about TJ or Dominic Cruz?
Mm, Prime is Dominic Cruz.
Dominic Cruz moving on. And this is an interesting bantamweight champion, in my opinion. Dom Cruz or Renan Barrero?
Ooh, this is a good one. This is a fight that should have happened.
Yeah.
Ah, that's a tough one. Man, that guy was such a killer.
Who stopped
Um,
Renan? Was that TJ that stopped all that momentum?
it was TJ. Yeah, that
Brutal.
dude was on a 20-fight win streak or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm gonna still have to go with Dominic Cruz. Yeah.
Dominic Cruz moving down. We got two names left. One of them's pretty familiar. How do you put yourself up there against Dominic Cruz?
Prime Tom. You know, I'm gonna have to be humble here. I think Prime Dominic Cruz is very hard to catch and very hard to figure out. So I'm gonna have to go with Dom.
Hey, I love the honesty there and being humble. Being humble is important here. But this is I don't know if Aldo fits into bantamweight goats, but because of his featherweight goat status, I gotta ask then, Dom Cruz or Jose Aldo for the bantamweight goat?
I'm gonna have to go with Dominic on that one. Yeah,
Dom Cruz, your bantamweight goat, official.
official.
Lock it in. I like the bantamweights because
Yeah,
it's a weight class where you go up and down. You got George St. Pierre, Khabib, John Jones. Some weight classes have a very distinct goat. I think bantamweight is pretty open for someone to take that someday. Do you agree?
yeah, it's definitely open. What? No one's defended the title more than like 3 times or twice or something like that. Yeah, so that one's wide open. It's such a deep division too, so it could be up for grabs.
And then Mario, before I get you out of here, man, fighting close to home, tons of people tuning into this big fight. Anything you'd like to say to all your fans?
Oh, just excited for this opportunity and hopefully see a lot of friends and family there. Like I said, it's very close, so I'm very excited to put it on a show for them, and we'll get this W.
You've been sleeping in an altitude tent, doing anything like that for the height?
Yeah, it's an altitude tent. Going to be done with it here pretty soon, so excited for that. So,
Well,
but we'll be ready though.
Salt Lake City up in the clouds, October 5th. Do not miss it. It's going to be a banger. Jose Aldo, Mario Bautista. Mario, thank you so much for your time, man. Have a great rest of fight week next week and kick some ass, all right?
Thank you. I appreciate it.